So in other words, something that happened with Michael B. Jordan, maybe maybe some bad things happened to him, because now we're understanding that something did happen between him and Diddy.
So here's the deal. Something definitely went down between Michael B. Jordan, Diddy, and Cassie. And it's not just internet gossip anymore. We're now learning that Michael B. Jordan's name came up during the first day of jury selection in Diddy's federal trial, which kicked off on May 5, 2025. Potential jurors were handed a list of individuals and places that could be mentioned during the proceedings, and Michael's name was on it, right alongside other celebrities like Mike Myers, Lauren London, and Kanye West. But why would someone like Michael B. Jordan, one of the biggest and most respected actors in Hollywood, be mixed up in this? According to reports and Cassie's 2023 lawsuit, during a time when she and Diddy were on a break, she allegedly began a flirtatious relationship with Michael B. Jordan. They were in Cape Town, South Africa, and apparently sparks flew. But when Diddy found out, he allegedly went into a jealous rage and actually threatened Michael B. Jordan directly. Yes, you read that right. Diddy reportedly picked up the phone and warned Michael to stay away from Cassie. Can you imagine that? A global superstar like Michael B. Jordan being threatened over something that happened while Cassie was technically single. That's not just petty. That's obsessive. And here's where it gets even deeper. This isn't just gossip. It's detailed in legal documents and has been acknowledged as part of the broader narrative in Diddy's ongoing criminal case. Michael B. Jordan hasn't commented publicly, but the fact that his name appears in these proceedings suggests this alleged threat could become a key part of the prosecution's case. Prosecutors clearly see it as relevant in painting a picture of Diddy's pattern of intimidation and control. Even more disturbing, this isn't an isolated incident. Cassie's lawsuit also claims that when Kid Cudi was romantically linked to her, Diddy not only threatened him but allegedly followed through on that threat. Someone actually bombed Kid Cudi's car in his driveway. Prosecutors now say they have evidence that a Molotov cocktail was used, pointing to a coordinated act of criminal intimidation, not just emotional instability. So think about that. While Michael B. Jordan was reportedly only threatened, others like Kid Cudi experienced physical retaliation. It paints a terrifying picture of how far Diddy was allegedly willing to go to maintain control and exact revenge. This isn't just drama, it's criminal, and now the justice system is finally starting to unpack all of it. What's truly wild is that Michael B. Jordan hasn't publicly commented on any of this yet, but sources are now saying he's preparing to speak out about what really went down between him, Cassie, and Diddy. And honestly, the world is watching and waiting. If Michael does decide to break his silence, it could be a game changer. Think about it. Michael B. Jordan could provide critical insight into Diddy's alleged pattern of controlling and abusive behavior. If he confirms that Diddy threatened him over Cassie, it would only strengthen Cassie's claims. And let's be real, Cassie deserves all the support she can get right now. Based on her testimony and the evidence already presented, this woman has endured unimaginable trauma. The courage it takes to stand up to someone as powerful as Diddy, especially in an industry as tight-lipped as music and entertainment, is nothing short of extraordinary. While we await Michael's potential truth bomb, let's touch on some of the other surprising names that emerged during jury selection. One of them was, bizarrely, Mike Myers. Yes, that Mike Myers, from Austin Powers. His name reportedly came up because of a joke in Austin Powers and Goldmember, where Myers' character, Dr. Evil, had E. Diddy tattooed on his buttocks, a parody of P. Diddy. In the scene, Myers, as Austin Powers, pulls down a villain's pants, revealing the tattoo. Could it really be that Diddy was so offended by this comedic moment that it made it into legal proceedings? If so, it hints at a dangerously fragile ego. But back to the heart of the matter. What exactly did Diddy say to Michael B. Jordan in that alleged threatening phone call? And how did Jordan respond? Could his version of events, even if shared, outside of court, help the public and the legal system hold Diddy accountable? This trial is unraveling layers of connections, stories, and secrets that have stayed hidden for years. It's like pulling a single loose thread and watching the entire sweater fall apart. And we're still only at the beginning. Now let's talk power dynamics, specifically the massive age and influence gap between Diddy and Cassie. There was a 17-year age difference, with Diddy being not only older but exponentially more powerful in the music industry. This wasn't just a relationship, it was a power imbalance. When they got together, Cassie was a young artist trying to make a name for herself. Diddy, on the other hand, was already a mogul who could make or break careers with a single phone call. That imbalance didn't fade in the relationship. If anything, it became more extreme. According to court documents, after Diddy found out about Cassie's brief romantic connection with Michael B. Jordan while she was in Cape Town, he allegedly bombarded Jordan with threats. Reports say Jordan even called Cassie to tell her, "You really need to call Mr. Combs because he's blowing up my phone, calling and threatening me." The fact that Diddy felt entitled to control who Cassie talked to, even while they were on a break, reveals how he viewed her, not as a partner, but as property. That's what makes the Michael B. Jordan element so compelling. Jordan isn't just any actor. He's a self-made success story, someone who's earned respect through talent, hard work, and integrity. Unlike Diddy, he didn't build a brand on intimidation and dominance. If Cassie saw in Jordan a different kind of man, one who didn't control or threaten, it would have challenged everything Diddy's persona was built on. It wasn't just jealousy. It was about power, image, and the need for control. Zooming out, the prosecution is painting a broader picture of Diddy not as someone who occasionally lost his temper, but as a man allegedly running a criminal enterprise, using coercion, threats, and violence as tools to dominate others. Cassie has testified that Diddy didn't just control her career. He orchestrated nearly every aspect of her life, including horrifying accounts of what she called freak-offs. These were elaborate, coerced sexual encounters involving male escorts, all allegedly designed and directed by Diddy. Cassie explained in testimony that these freak-offs followed a disturbing script. Starting with forced masturbation, she was required to narrate everything out loud in graphic detail, reportedly for Diddy's gratification. She described these experiences not as consensual acts, but as traumatic performances she felt forced into. According to her, they soon became her full-time reality, overshadowing her actual career in music. And here's the haunting question: how many people in the industry knew, or at least suspected, what was happening? The jury selection list alone included over 190 names. That means countless people, from executives to celebrities, may have had some degree of exposure to Diddy's world. So why didn't anyone speak up? Part of the answer lies in the culture of silence that's long permeated Hollywood and the music industry. Diddy wasn't just rich. He was deeply connected, with influence that spanned record labels, fashion, houses, television, and beyond. Speaking out against someone like him could end your career. But that's exactly what Cassie did when she filed her lawsuit in November 2023. She shattered that silence, opening the door for others, maybe even Michael B. Jordan, to come forward too. This case isn't just about Diddy's alleged abuse of Cassie. It's exposing a larger systemic problem: how power shields predators, and how entire industries can enable this behavior through silence, complicity, and fear. If Michael B. Jordan adds his voice to the chorus of accusations, it won't just be another headline. It will be a significant crack in a long-standing wall of protection around celebrity abusers. Lastly, it's worth acknowledging the racial dynamics at play. The hip-hop industry has long been scrutinized under a harsher spotlight compared to other genres, but that doesn't mean anyone should be excused from accountability. What we're seeing here isn't about music. It's about the alleged abuse of power. That happens in every genre, every industry. And what matters most now is not who the accused is, but whether justice can finally be served. The allegations surrounding Sean "Diddy" Combs continue to reveal a disturbing pattern of control, manipulation, and abuse. When viewed through the lens of the alleged incident involving Michael B. Jordan, the picture becomes even clearer. If the claims are true, Diddy's threats against Jordan weren't about protecting a romantic relationship. They were about asserting dominance and maintaining control. This behavior aligns with the broader pattern that prosecutors are working to establish in the federal trial. This case also raises serious questions about the legacy of Bad Boy Records and the many artists who launched their careers under Diddy's label. If Diddy is convicted of these serious charges, how will that impact the legacy of the music created under his name? And what about the celebrities who were close to him? Will they speak out, distance themselves, or remain silent? These questions highlight the complex web of relationships and loyalties in the entertainment industry, and how they're tested when serious allegations come to light. Many of the biggest names in music and entertainment have been linked to Diddy over the years: Jay-Z, Jennifer Lopez, Beyoncé, and more. While simply being connected to Diddy doesn't imply guilt or knowledge of any wrongdoing, it does raise questions about what these individuals may have witnessed or heard over the years. Rumors and unverified social media lists continue to circulate, attempting to link various celebrities to Diddy's alleged freak-offs. However, it's important to emphasize that these lists are unsubstantiated, and attending one of Diddy's famous parties does not equate to participating in, or even being aware of criminal behavior. Still, the legal implications could extend beyond Diddy himself. Some attorneys representing accusers have reportedly sent letters to high-profile guests who allegedly attended these events. One lawyer warned that if celebrities knew someone was being drugged and did nothing, they could be just as liable as those who directly participated. That statement alone is enough to make many in the industry nervous. Cassie's testimony has added a deeply personal and emotional layer to the trial. She described being trapped in a cycle of abuse, feeling unable to escape Diddy's control, even during periods when they were officially on a break. According to her, Diddy allegedly monitored her movements, controlled her appearance, and dictated who she could associate with. She recalled how he would manipulate her psychologically, labeling her as boring or predictable when she refused to engage in the so-called freak-offs. Text messages presented in court supported her claims. This manipulation wasn't just personal, it was professional too. Cassie claimed that Diddy used his power in the music industry to control her career. That dynamic, where a romantic partner is also a professional gatekeeper, is one we've seen in other high-profile abuse cases. It creates a situation where escaping abuse could mean ending one's career entirely. The Michael B. Jordan incident must be seen in this broader context. If true, the alleged threat against Jordan wasn't merely an act of jealousy. It was another display of power, sending a chilling message to Cassie about what would happen if she tried to assert her independence. The charges Diddy faces are not minor. These are federal charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering, and transporting individuals for prostitution, crimes that carry the potential for life imprisonment. Jury selection for the trial began on May 5, 2025, with opening statements on May 12th. The trial is expected to last 8 to 10 weeks, and already, the prosecution has presented serious testimony and evidence. Beyond the criminal case, Diddy is facing 63 civil lawsuits related to sexual assault and misconduct. One attorney has suggested that more than 400 additional claims could be forthcoming. That points to a potential decades-long pattern of abuse. In this context, the Michael B. Jordan situation becomes more than just a celebrity headline. It becomes another example of a toxic pattern rooted in control, fear, and domination. This leads to a difficult but necessary conversation about the culture of silence in the entertainment industry. How did this alleged behavior continue for so long without consequence? The answer lies in a mix of fear, non-disclosure agreements, out-of-court settlements, and the kind of protection that comes with money and influence. For decades, Diddy was a kingmaker, someone who could make or break a career with a single call. Speaking out against someone like that could mean professional exile. That's what made Cassie's lawsuit in November 2023 such a landmark moment. Her decision to come forward opened the door for others, and her bravery may lead to lasting change. If someone like Michael B. Jordan were to publicly confirm Diddy's threats, it could break another piece of the wall of silence. As an A-list actor with his own power and platform, Jordan has less to fear and could inspire others to step forward. However, accountability must go beyond one individual. The entertainment industry thrives on informal relationships and backroom deals, often lacking the kind of transparency and structure necessary to prevent abuse. True change requires stronger whistleblower protections, more transparent reporting systems, and a shift in values, from prioritizing talent and profit to centering ethics and humanity. This trial is happening at a pivotal moment for the music industry, which, like Hollywood, is being forced to confront how power has been abused. If Diddy is convicted, it could provide a measure of justice for his alleged victims. For some, justice isn't only about imprisonment. It's about acknowledgement, accountability, and the possibility of healing. Cassie's testimony has already helped shape the narrative, reinforcing the allegations she made in her 2023 lawsuit. Her account of abuse, coercion, and psychological manipulation offers a clear window into the dynamics that prosecutors are trying to expose. And the timing of the alleged Michael B. Jordan incident, during a supposed break in their relationship, reinforces how little control Cassie felt she truly had. As more celebrities come under scrutiny for their association with Diddy, the public will increasingly demand transparency. Some are already distancing themselves, while others remain silent, perhaps hoping the storm will pass. But as more testimony emerges and more accusers speak out, that silence will become harder to justify. Finally, this case could trigger further investigations into those in Diddy's orbit. The prosecution has already referenced potential co-conspirators, suggesting Diddy didn't act alone. Lawyer Tony Busby, who represents over 100 alleged victims, has made it clear anyone who knew about criminal activity and stayed silent could be held accountable. Still, attending a party with Diddy does not automatically imply guilt. What matters is what people knew, when they knew it, and how they chose to respond. If Michael B. Jordan decides to speak publicly about his experience, it could be a watershed moment, one that forces the industry to confront not only Diddy's actions, but its own long-standing culture of complicity. Diddy has consistently pleaded not guilty to all charges, even rejecting a plea deal offered on May 1, 2025, just days before the trial began. His attorney, Mark Agnifilo, emphasized Diddy's stance, stating, "Diddy is an imperfect person, but he is not a criminal." Agnifilo stressed that his client is determined to fight the allegations and clear his name in court. "He's been looking forward to this day," the attorney said. "He's going to clear his name, and we're going to stand by his side as he does. We believe in him wholeheartedly. He didn't do these things." That statement struck a nerve. An imperfect person, but not a criminal. It's a line designed to evoke public sympathy while avoiding an admission of guilt. It acknowledges personal flaws, but draws a distinct line between poor decisions and criminal behavior. It's a calculated legal strategy, but one that has left the public uneasy. What exactly is being admitted here? And what is being denied? The charges are serious: sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Prosecutors allege that Diddy abused, threatened, and coerced women and others to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct, allegedly dating back to at least 2008. They accuse him of running a criminal enterprise involving so-called freak-off parties, where victims were allegedly coerced into sexual acts. These freak-off parties reportedly lasted for days, involved multiple sex workers, and included drugs like ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, allegedly administered by Diddy to keep participants compliant. These aren't mere allegations of wild behavior. Prosecutors argue they reveal a calculated system of exploitation. Victims say they were drugged, manipulated, and threatened into silence. Some tried to come forward but were reportedly paid off or intimidated. The trial is expected to include testimony from former employees, ex-girlfriends, bodyguards, assistants, and music industry insiders, people from Diddy's inner circle. The prosecution's case is that this wasn't a one-off. It was a deeply embedded culture of abuse. While Diddy's public apology for being nervous in court might not have been an admission, the trial itself has become one of the most high-profile celebrity cases in years. Diddy's brand is already unraveling. Partnerships have been pulled, sponsorships paused, and former associates are distancing themselves. Some artists under his label have released vague statements in support of survivors. But this goes beyond one man. This trial is forcing a cultural reckoning. For years, whispers circulated in the entertainment industry about the hidden costs of fame, what people endured, overlooked, or stayed silent about to remain close to power. Now those whispers are being shouted in open court. It's no longer rumors behind closed doors. It's sworn testimony, federal documents, and live courtroom updates. The biggest open secret in the music industry is now front-page news. Victims are coming forward, and fans are grappling with what this means. Diddy isn't just a celebrity. He's a cultural icon, a symbol of hustle and reinvention in hip-hop. But that legacy now hangs by a thread. Some supporters claim the justice system is targeting another successful black man. Others believe the industry has enabled powerful abusers for too long, and that accountability is overdue. The apology, if it can be called that, may have been vague, but it sparked a deeper conversation. It reminded the world that behind the headlines is a man on trial, his past under a microscope, and everything he built on the line. So no, the apology isn't the full story. It's a flashpoint in a larger narrative. The real story is this trial and what it uncovers, not just about Diddy, but about a culture that enabled him to operate without consequence for so long. What is Diddy charged with? The indictment, unsealed in September 2024, includes 5 federal charges: sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. These are not typical celebrity legal troubles. They carry the weight of life imprisonment. Prosecutors allege Diddy ran a criminal enterprise, abusing his power and money to manipulate and exploit others. The timeline stretches as far back as 2008, with some civil cases referencing abuse in the 1990s. According to prosecutors, Diddy orchestrated freak-off parties, drug-fueled sexual events allegedly designed and controlled by him. Court documents describe these parties as organized affairs where victims were coerced, sometimes filmed, and given IV fluids afterward to recover. 4 victims are named in the indictment, as victims 1 through 4, 3 of whom have been granted anonymity, a sign of how serious the case is. Their stories describe patterns of abuse and coercion. Allegedly, when victims resisted, Diddy responded with violence, hitting, kicking, dragging them by their hair, and subjecting them to emotional and verbal abuse to force their participation. One key piece of evidence is a surveillance video from 2016 released by CNN in May 2024. It allegedly shows Diddy violently assaulting his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in a hotel hallway. That video, expected to be central to the trial, sparked widespread outrage. Cassie's story is pivotal. In November, where the trial stands, as of May 7th, 2025. The trial officially began with jury selection on May 5, 2025. According to the latest reports, as of May 7th, 45 prospective jurors have been qualified, reaching the court's initial target. This is a key milestone. The next step is peremptory strikes, scheduled for Friday, May 9th, when both the prosecution and defense will dismiss certain jurors without needing to provide a reason. Court will be dark, no proceedings, on Thursday. May 8th opening statements are scheduled for Monday. May 12th, jury selection has been intense. The court began with roughly 600 potential jurors, narrowing them down through rigorous questioning. Jurors were asked about their awareness of the case, whether they had seen the viral video allegedly showing Diddy assaulting Cassie Ventura potential. Personal biases. Some of the responses show how deeply embedded this case is in the public consciousness. Several jurors admitted to having seen the Cassie video. Others referenced baby oil jokes linked to the FBI raids. One juror even mentioned liking a comedian's video mocking the situation, but was still qualified after claiming they could remain impartial. The final jury will consist of 12 members and 6 alternates. The trial is expected to last 8 to 10 weeks, running from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. ET in the first week, and 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. in following weeks. This puts a likely verdict somewhere in mid to late July. We also know that the first 3 witnesses have been disclosed to the defense, though their identities remain under seal. Speculation is rampant over whether Cassie Ventura will testify early on. During jury selection, potential jurors were given a list of possible names mentioned during the trial. This included Michael B. Jordan, Kid Cudi, Cassie Ventura, Michelle Williams, Mike Myers, Dallas Austin, Lauren London, and Dawn Richard. None of these celebrities are accused of any wrongdoing, but their names could surface due to past associations or presence at relevant events. Diddy has been present in court, wearing a blue sweater, white shirt, and glasses, thanks to a court order allowing him to wear non-prison clothing. Diddy's defense strategy: Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges and rejected a plea deal, signaling a full fight in court. His legal team has taken an aggressive stance, particularly in how they've responded to the Cassie Ventura surveillance video. They've challenged its admissibility, claiming it was substantially altered. CNN, who released the footage, denies those claims. Judge Aaron Subramanian has ruled the video admissible, meaning the jury will see it. The defense has also filed motions to dismiss portions of the indictment on the grounds of racial targeting, and has focused heavily on jury bias and media exposure. Given how high-profile this case is, they are trying to minimize any pre-trial influence on jurors' perceptions. In a more unusual twist, court documents show the defense may introduce a psychological or medical defense. A Columbia professor, Dr. Ellie Aon, is slated to testify about a redacted mental condition that could affect Diddy's culpability. Prosecutors, however, are pushing back, questioning its relevance. All of this plays into the broader defense narrative that any interactions were consensual, part of a private lifestyle, and not criminal in nature. What comes next? The opening statements begin Monday, May 12, 2025, and will give us the clearest picture yet of both sides' strategies. After that, the prosecution will begin calling witnesses and introducing evidence. Their case centers on 4 victims, victims 1 through 4, 3 of whom will testify anonymously. Their testimonies are expected to be powerful and deeply emotional. The 2016 hotel footage of Diddy allegedly assaulting Cassie Ventura will almost certainly play a key role. So will the evidence found during the FBI raids, including over 1,000 bottles of baby oil reportedly used to stock hotel rooms for what prosecutors call freak-off parties. Once the prosecution rests, the defense will present its case. This could include expert testimony on Diddy's alleged mental condition and efforts to undermine the credibility of the prosecution's evidence, especially around consent. After both sides finish, the jury will deliberate. Given the complexity of the case and the severity of the charges, a verdict could take several days. If convicted, Diddy faces life imprisonment for the most serious charges: racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, coercion. Mandatory minimum of 15 years for sex trafficking, up to 10 years per count for transportation to engage in prostitution beyond the trial. Civil lawsuits and industry reckoning. Diddy's legal trouble doesn't end with this trial. He still faces over 70 civil lawsuits alleging sexual misconduct. While these are separate from the criminal case, the outcome here will likely influence how those lawsuits proceed. This trial is also sparking broader conversations across the music industry. The Washington Post notes how this case is igniting debates around NDAs, power dynamics, and industry accountability. Some compare it to the Me Too reckoning in Hollywood, with parallels drawn to cases like Harvey Weinstein and R. Kelly. Prosecutors argue that Diddy, like them, used wealth and influence to coerce, silence, and intimidate. In a bizarre turn, Diddy is also fighting defamation lawsuits against documentaries like Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy, released in January 2025. He claims the film promotes conspiracy theories, that he's suing for defamation while simultaneously facing life in prison, underscores just how tangled this legal web has become. In conclusion, this is one of the biggest criminal trials in music history, with major implications for celebrity, culture, accountability, and justice. Whether you believe Diddy is being wrongfully accused or think this is long overdue justice, there's no denying the scale and complexity of what's unfolding. Stay tuned. This trial is far from over, and the fallout may reshape the industry for years to come.